I have to come clean. I messed up. And you might be thinking, gee, Flame, it's not like we haven't seen you on stream or your footage in these videos. And fair, but listen, I'm bad at WoW, okay? I actually ruined a few keys for my friends, felt horrible because it wasn't the first time, and that's not the worst of it. I said some things in our videos that were influenced by me being bad. How did it turn out, you ask? Well, this wasn't the first time this happened, however, which should have been a red flag or a turning point for me. Unfortunately for me, it was live on stream. Fortunately for me, Twitch doesn't seem to keep VODs that old. Old because this happened in Season 1 of Dragonflight, and it led me to hiding, healing, and telling everybody about how bad it was. In Season 1, I was maining Preservation Evoker, which was the hot new thing at the time. Mythic raiding as Preservation was very fun, challenging for a first-time healer main, also with a class that was just released. It did help, however, that the spec was beyond broken at the time, and it did a lot of the heavy lifting for me. Suffice to say, I enjoyed it. In raids, the problem was in Mythic Plus. As we started to push the keys early in Season 1, we started just like everyone else, low and going high. And you can also start with today's sponsor, War Thunder, the most comprehensive vehicle combat game ever to grace your PC or console. In it, you'll be piloting over 2,500 tanks, planes, helicopters, and ships, all belonging to 10 nations, their tech evolution spanning from the 1920s armor cars and simple biplanes to modern fighter jets and battle tanks. War Thunder has incredibly realistic graphics with highly detailed vehicles and authentic sound effects, which all work towards boosting your immersion factor and letting you know that you are steering the most badass war machines of our time. You can even personalize them with a vast array of customizable options like camouflage, historical markings, and vehicle decorations, which can also be made by other players. And all of this stuff may seem like a lot, but the coolest thing that made me really get into the game was its accessibility and simple control scheme. With just my mouse and keyboard, I hopped into the first plane they give you real quick and managed to actually fly it, dreading that it would take me hours to learn simulator level controls for all of the vehicle types. But nope, that was super easy. And as WoW players, we understand the value of a large player base and active community, which War Thunder has in spades. Currently, they are rocking over 70 million players worldwide that engage in PvP battles and all the engrossing combat this game has to offer. Fans of military history will especially enjoy the experience brought by just sheer volume of quality content and intricately designed gameplay to keep you hooked and immersed in your battles. The game is free to play on PC, PlayStation and Xbox right now by just checking the link in the description or pinned comment. Clicking it will not only support the channel but also get a massive bonus pack in your hands, which is available for new and returning players that haven't played in the last 6 months. The pack works across all platforms and it includes multiple premium vehicles, the exclusive Eagle of Valor decorator, 100,000 silver lions as currency, and 7 days of premium account. The bonus is only available for a limited time, so make sure you get yours from the link below. Playing Preservation during that time was fun. I ended up learning quite a bit, especially that the spec was hard, or that's what I was telling myself. Listen, the spec wasn't easy. There weren't years of theory crafting and experienced players that fleshed out the gameplay with tips and tricks and guides. Plus, the way you played the spec, and this still applies to this day, is very combo-centric. Meaning, in order to heal your group efficiently, you had a series of spells you used in a combo to dish out the heals. If you got the combo wrong, the heal was poop. If a mechanic broke your combo, it was poop. And in high keys, that meant people died. That was fine in lower keys though, but one fateful day, Marcelian, Sunshade, and some viewers on stream decided to hop on an 18 tyrannical halls of valor with me, where I encountered my first problem and ended up destroying the key for everyone involved. I know this because the tension in the air was thick and it was obvious that for once it was all of the healer's fault. We don't have the recording anymore, but I can just show you the log and you can see that my parse was gray and won because the key was failed. And it wasn't just failed, it was a key that lasted for a total of 1 hour and 4 minutes. This wasn't the first day of the season, so it kind of meant a little bit. Going into the key at Heimall, I felt the pressure of the tyrannical damage intake everyone was suffering. I knew that, dude, people are kind of close to dying here and this is the easiest boss. Fuck, how am I going to heal Herja and Odin? I think Marcelian died on Heimdall as well at the time and wasn't great. I knew it was going to get rougher later on. Since it was tyrannical, the trash was easy to do, no biggie. Cannot recall Fenrir a lot and probably says that it wasn't as big of a deal. Managing my stasis, rewind and emerald communion combos got me through most of the AoE bleed soaks. And then we got to Herja. The first storm mechanic, where we all had to get into the safe zone, killed at least one person. We wiped. The second killed another, and we wiped again. For reference, this is all hindsight by the way, because I cannot find the footage, but the storm ticks were two-shotting people if they were inside the safe zone, and insta-squash them outside. The tankier ones could take 3 shots and be left with like no HP. So essentially, I had to burst heal every tick of the storm on a class that had heal combos that took 10 to 15 seconds to do. Suffice to say, my ass was cooked and was not ready for it. I cannot remember how many wipes we had at Herja, and I'm pretty sure the only reason we managed to get her down was because whoever eventually died, because there was no way I had the skill to keep everybody up, was combat resurrected after the phase ended and somehow we killed her. We were over the timer at this point, by the way, and still had Odin. On Odin was when I learned, oh, my party has to be full HP before the spears pop, and I still need to heal them as we were going to grab our runes. I would later learn that on tyrannical difficult keys, everyone has to pop a defensive as they are going for their runes, since it's unrealistic for a healer to keep them up, hard casting spells while also trying to get their own rune. And that would be for a regular person. I'll spare you the details, we wiped more here than on Herja. I felt like dog shit. I immediately went on Warcraft logs and looked at other preservations to see how they heal the Tyrannical 18. I studied their combos, every single global they casted before and during Herja's storm phase, and so on. It made sense how they did it. Sure, I wasn't doing the same thing, of course, but more than anything I realized I was bad. I'm not going to beat my chest and consider myself an amazing player or someone that never sucked at the game. There's actually a story way more depressing than this one that changed how I played WoW completely. But that's for another time. I know firsthand when I suck, since I am a DPS hoe and have consistently been logging and analyzing my logs since BFA, since about when we started doing spec guides. I always improve towards purple parses eventually, maybe even the occasional orange ones, sometimes close to 100 percentiles, so I can be pretty good. It doesn't help that I change mains every tier, but I'm also a dumbass, so the middle ground is where the sauce is at. I eventually learned to play preservation better, but the experience soiled my love for healing forever. I was bad, sure, but healing was also changed into a burst gameplay that I just did not enjoy. I actually still don't enjoy it, but it's a bit different now in 10.2. That didn't stop me from being bad again though, and this time it happened again while I was healing on Resto Shaman, and it happened in an Everbloom 23, also tyrannical. Also Soul and the last boss. During Soul's Cinderbolt, my party was dying left and right, and they were full HP before the mechanic happened, and didn't step into fire, and still died, which means it was my fault. I couldn't keep them up. We wiped a whole bunch of times. Sometimes people mess up. You dip into a fire puddle and take too much avoidable damage for the healer to resolve and die. That was fine. Sometimes you forget your defensives and you wipe. That was fine as well. The problem was when my friends managed to do the mechanics properly and they still died, and that was all on me now. I felt like dog shit. The key lasted, once again, 1 hour and 7 minutes, and once again, conveniently enough, I don't have the log, but I do have the footage, which you have been watching so far, I suppose. The reason I was Resto was because I geared Resto so we can do keys. Marcelian was our de facto healer for a few months as he was maining Discipline, but the man wants to play some DPS as well, and he isn't maining Priest anymore, and everyone else hates healing. I don't. I have been gearing my Resto for a few weeks so we can do some higher keys and enjoy the game. So why then? Why did this happen? I was on my main healing spec, the one I am best at. Resto Shaman is also turbo easy compared to Preservation. I learned my lesson in Season 1, yet it happened again. I would have accepted this on a healer I was bad or inexperienced with, but this was not the case. Or so I thought. After the dungeon, I hopped on YouTube and looked at some people healing on Shaman, other high tyrannical Everblooms. I learned that not only could I have had a better build for the dungeon, but the build I already was using wasn't executed properly. I was crushed. Resto Shaman has been my safe pick since BFA. I did arenas with Marcelian. We always timed keys. My boys had faith, yet I fucked up even on the basics. My ego was bruised. I knew this was just a key, and in the end, it's just a game. But it didn't feel good that I was the one that pushed them to do the key higher than normal when we were just chilling and not try-harding. I was also the one saying, "That's alright, I got this, I'll heal, we're gonna smash this key." And also was the main reason we stood for over 1 hour in Everbloom. Enough. No more. This is going to change. Maybe I'm not a dogshit player. This was, after all, a plus 23, not a 16, not a 10 or a 3, but a 23. I have clearly been underestimating the skill necessary to play specs in Dragonflight after the Talon reworks and clearly overestimated my own skill. I slammed the books. Healing Wave, why to cast it and why it's a dogshit spell. Primordial Wave does not save people. Gigafast chain heals are better than touching grass. Have to touch grass. I practiced for 2 weeks. I healed keys, I healed the raid. I read up on my spec and got a bit more gear cause, let's be honest, 470-ish eye level was being overly ambitious. We came back 2 weeks later on the next tyrannical rotation and fucking destroyed the dungeon and got my best performance on Resto yet. Moral of the story, you don't have to touch grass to kick ass at WoW, but I think those might be more cause and effect rather than two mutually inclusive concepts. Just messing with you. Moral of the story is actually deeper and more boring really. Everyone is human. Everyone fucks up. That's just part of the game. Getting better, learning from your mistake and not pointing fingers is something that we don't do enough. And living in our own little bubble makes us not able to see what's beyond there, which is healing is actually difficult. I swore off healing for more than a year and thought I was better than it. And it was just that the devs were making a bad game design. I wasn't. But also, healing still sucks. Burst healing is not fun. It's hard, but difficulty isn't a problem. Thank you again War Thunder for sponsoring this video. Download yours for free from the link below on both PC and consoles, Xbox and PlayStation, to also take advantage of the limited time only bonus pack. Super good for new players to start off, but also returning ones that haven't battled in the last 6 months, making it quicker to start your combat with multiple vehicles, boosters, in-game currency, and more.